Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Hope everybody had a nice sunny weekend. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo's virtual meeting, featuring Toledo Rotarian Cindy Kerr of Connect Toledo. But first, I'll ask Mike George to deliver the reflection and Lisa Wagner to lead us as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. As we gather today to hear our speaker from Connect Toledo, I was struck by a portion of their mission statement that says they support 4 seasons of activity and fun. We thank you, God, for giving us these 4 seasons. We thank you for the spring, reminding us of rebirth and new life. We thank you for the summer with its lush greenery and golden sunshine. We thank you for the fall with its leaves ablaze. And we thank you for the winter, cold and white with snow. Each season makes us remember your plan guides us all, and that despite all our efforts, the seasons will still turn. We thank you, God, for Connect Toledo and their mission to remind everyone of the glory of our natural abundance in Northwest Ohio. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Back to you, President Alex.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Lisa. Also, I want to thank Hollywood Casino for March's weekly meeting sponsor. Thank you, Rotarian Justin Carter. A couple of quick updates. We were in the news. There was a Blade article last week about our club and the foundation and our most recent community grant cycle. I want to thank all Rotarians who make this possible by contributing to the club's foundation. Also, to reflect a little bit, it was 1 year ago today that we went virtual. We've experienced some challenges, but many, many successes throughout the year. We've maintained the same club ranking, and thanks to all of you who join us virtually every week. I've stated this before, but I think our club is stronger as we are rounding the corner. We are planning some outdoor events for fellowship soon as the warmer weather sets in. And speaking of member engagement, here is Vice Chair Jill Blackburn to give us a membership engagement event update. Jill?
Thank you, President Alex. Welcome, and welcome, fellow Rotarians. We hope that you'll block your calendars for April 1st. We are going to have a virtual trivia. Come join us. We plan to have a lot of fun. You can find the information. It's located out on the spoke. You do not need to sign up. The link is right there. It's on page 3, so there's a really nice little flyer. So make sure that you check that out. We're going to have fun prizes, extravaganza. So we hope that you'll join us. We also hope that this is going to be one of the last virtual, and we hope to see you all soon in person. So please make sure you mark your calendars. So it's April 1st, begins at 5 p.m. We will have fun prizes. It is a virtual trivia, so come join the fun. Again, it will be located out on the spoke. It is on page 3. For the invite, you do not need to pre-sign up or register. Just make sure you block the time, come join us, have fun with us. This is brought to you from membership, and we plan to have much more coming to you. So stay tuned and plan on joining us. April 1st, this is not a joke.
Oh, thank you, Jill. It does sound like a blast. Please mark your calendars, April 1st, for what, as Jill mentioned, might be our last virtual event. And finally, here to introduce today's speaker is our own Executive Director, Kathy Tate. Kathy?
Alex, fellow Rotarians. Just to follow up on Jill's statement, it is in the spoke, but it's also on, if you want to know more about the fun trivia event they have planned for April 1st, it's on the website homepage right there in the middle, ToledoRotary.org. So if you can't find your spoke, it's right there too. So you, and I know it was in the email that Abby sent out this morning as well. So fellow Rotarians, it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Cindy Kerr. She's been a member of our club since 2016, and she is a member of our foundation's President's Club. And she is a true servant within our community, doing all she can to promote our city. A little bit about her current position and background. She's the Vice President of Operations of Connect Toledo. She was hired by Downtown Toledo Improvement District in 2014 as Executive Director. Cindy has delivered on their service plan by marketing downtown, delivering advocacy service to business and property owners, and providing a clean and safe environment. And I know when I was downtown with the office, I would often see her checking out to make sure that everything was fine within our community. Cindy has previously held financial management positions within the healthcare industry. She also has Fortune 125 global leadership experience in human resources, new product introduction, and innovation. She has a Master's of Business Administration and a BBA in Finance from the University of Toledo, and she completed the Executive Master's Program in Healthcare Administration at The Ohio State University. She's also busy in other areas as she serves on the boards of TMACOG, Toledo-Lucas County Homelessness Board, and the University of Toledo Alumni Association. Fellow Rotarians, please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for fellow Rotarian Cindy Kerr.
Kathy, thank you. I look forward to seeing Rotarians back on downtown sidewalks again. I have not, with just an exception of a couple of weeks not being downtown, I've been actually working down there the whole time. We can't, I've always felt strongly that I can't help the businesses and the property owners down there unless I was kind of with them, shoulder to shoulder as we kind of fought through this past year. And as you're going to see through the presentation today, downtown is in good shape. We are doing very, very well. In fact, when I am on phone calls with some of the other downtowns across the country, there's a true level of angst and depression amongst them, and you don't experience that here in downtown. In fact, none of our major projects that were on the table at the start of the pandemic have backed away. They have all moved forward, and I'm going to take you on a whirlwind tour here in just a okay. Alrighty, you heard Kathy give a couple of acronyms already. There are descriptions of some of the organizations that support downtown. So let me just kind of take you through some background. In 2025, actually starting back in 2014, the 22nd Century Plan or Committee came together to start to look at downtown. This was really the impetus of Randy Ostra as he was beginning to look at ProMedica moving downtown, and Bob LeClaire was the other co-chairman of that activity in his role as president of Fifth Third Bank. Through a series of public meetings and working with MKSK out of Columbus, the Downtown Master Plan was born and was approved in January of 2017. And I'm going to show you a slide here shortly that shows the amount of progress that we've made against that. Shortly thereafter, the 22nd Century disbanded, and then it was reformed and re-energized as the Downtown Toledo Development Corporation, but we're more commonly known as Connect Toledo, with the goal of connecting all the various pieces it takes to have a healthy downtown. In January 2018, Connect Toledo and Downtown Toledo Improvement District, or more commonly known as DTID, came together in an agreement, and they're still together under that umbrella of Connect Toledo. My employment switched at that time, but both boards are very active. I think we benefit from having, between the two board memberships, 45 different board members who are passionate and give their time back into the downtown community. Some of our work that we focus on as Connect Toledo is we are a facilitator of a lot of different discussions, bringing together property owners, real estate agents, people who are interested in downtown from across the country. We also have in-depth knowledge of redevelopment and public financing tools. Communication marketing is very important to us, and the brand that you see on Facebook and social media and our website under Downtown Toledo is very strong within the community. We are good project managers within our office, and so we take on a lot of projects that I'll take you through in just a few minutes. Real estate activity, downtown development corporations can take on risk through the purchasing of real estate, and that's something that we've become involved in recently. Public spaces and placemaking. So a lot of you see the ambassador team today. They're back to wearing their royal blue coats over the weekend. We had our gold shirts on as it was a little bit warmer, but we want to make sure the downtown is clean and that it's a welcoming environment for you. We also team with the Arts Commission on various placemaking opportunities so that it's visually appealing and has a splash of surprise when you turn the corner sometimes. We also do supplemental safety, so we spend time with the Toledo Police Department, Lucas County Sheriff's Office, and others on making sure that downtown is safe. Event management falls underneath our umbrella too. While we don't coordinate all events, we are involved in all the major events in downtown. And of course, business and residential real estate development is at the heart of what we do because we always want to see our numbers growing. So our master plan is our North Star, and that's what guides us. And as you can see, from to the end of 22 and beginning this work in 2017, we have accomplished nearly every directive underneath the master plan. If we haven't accomplished it yet, it's on its way. So that's exciting. The Special Improvement District was renewed in 2020, and now the new assessment cycle is 2021 through 2025. This is a common support tool that all downtowns have available to them in the state of Ohio and actually across the country. And this is where the property owners have voted to self-assess themselves to provide a high level of service back to downtown. In the dark gray, you can see what we have historically been since 2006. And the property owners have enough confidence that we not only grew our boundaries, but we have renewed ourselves to 2025. We are also you're looking at the heart of downtown here, really the central business district, and we are putting in a historic district. So we're working with the National Park Service and the state of Ohio on this. The different colors are different segments in downtown where we're going to be telling different stories, but what this ultimately allows us to do is for the buildings within this area to apply for historic tax credits at both the state and federal level, thereby increasing the mix of financing tools to make their projects profitable. We're working with the Land Bank and also with the Toledo Port Authority and the City of Toledo on the development of the Four Corners. Our role in that is Connect Toledo is the business assessment. So what is the potential of these four areas? You see right here is a floor plan of the Spitzer building. With the exception of the first floor, all the floors have the same floor plan all the way up, and this is kind of a mock-up of what residential units could be. So we really envision residential going in the Spitzer, a portion of the Nicholas building, and then the rest of that would be business use and then retail on the ground floor. One of the directives of the master plan is to put in an innovation district, and that is actively moving forward. And what you see here is the re-envisioned Jefferson Center. We also have been working with the library in putting in an innovation district in there also. The question always is what's the potential of the residents in downtown Toledo? Currently, we have close to 3,700 residents, and that number is growing. So we are focused on the Uptown Central Business District and the Warehouse District area at our first phase of this study. And then we also want to know secondarily, what's the impact of downtown's growth on those surrounding neighborhoods, because we would like to see them growing also. Swan Creek is part of our redevelopment focus going forward. So now that we've seen great progress in the Warehouse District and the Middle Grounds area, we're starting to look at this area along Swan Creek here, getting it cleaned up. We are working with the Ohio EPA and the federal EPA on that, along with the Metroparks and the Lucas County Engineer's Office. You'll see coming soon this summer, a couple of our parking lots are going to be undergoing new fencing standards. So this is something that was passed a couple years ago, but due to COVID was put on hold in 2020, but you'll see a couple come through. Rotarian Jim Kniep is going to be the first, and we hope to see that coming here in a few months, and then a couple others after that. Levis Square Park received a great deal of attention while everyone was gone. We completely renovated it. Phase 3, which is highlighted here, is Madison Avenue. That's actually the connector between Summit and St. Clair. That is closed. It will remain permanently closed. You're going to see some great fun landscaping coming to that area. Some other urban planning projects that we've been working on is coming up with some outdoor dining guidelines. We, of course, moved a lot of our dining out into our streets last year. We want to make sure that our restaurants continue to take advantage of that. And we're doing some concept work with one of our restaurants down there right now on a parklet that could be coming. The DTID is very focused on bringing beautification, welcoming everyone back to downtown. So we're going to be putting 60 planters in our core, and this is a program that we hope to see roll out over the next couple of years with even more planters. Working with the city of Toledo on assessing all of our trees. Some of them are in bad shape and need some attention, so we want to make sure that we get that taken care of too. And as I mentioned, Paul Toth is actually the president of ConnecToledo. He brought with him, when he retired from the Port Authority and moved down 3 blocks down into our building, a lot of knowledge of financing techniques, both public and private. So between Paul and myself, we are available to work with anyone out there, and we do understand what's available both at the federal, state, and local levels. Okay. As I mentioned before, we are allowed to become involved in property purchases, and just recently announced, we actually sold this piece of property that ConnecToledo purchased back in November to the Metroparks. And so you're looking here, this is kind of the former infamous salt piles. Down towards the upper portion of the slide is the Craig Street Bridge. Behind here, the street is Summit Street, just so you orient yourself. So you're at the north end of what will be the Glass City Riverwalk. This property acquisition was important because we want to keep people towards the riverfront. This property was owned by Norfolk Southern, but they had long stopped using it, so it was not productive anymore. And the buildings on here are really not in good shape. And so we're going to be converting this over, hopefully over the next 8 years, and you're going to be able to do a 6-mile loop around the riverfront and enjoy getting right down next to the river. It's also important for the Vistula neighborhood because they're now, for the first time in many, many decades, going to be able to directly access the river. We've also completed a business development assessment and are actually rolling that out. What do we think is the best for each building's use down here? In tandem with the city of Toledo, we did the comprehensive parking study, and then in January 2021, those changes actually took effect. So no longer is the free lunchtime parking existing, but it's consistent paid parking now from 8 to 6 with 2-hour enforcement. The reason why we did that is to make sure that turnover happens. So especially our restaurants and retail have a consistent flow of customers that can get into their business. The Downtown Toledo Transportation Plan was completed in 2019, and you're starting to see the recommendations now roll out, the first of which is Summit Street. That's exciting, and what you see on Summit Street will be what you see on other streets. This will, of course, take a while for us to do this, but you're going to see greenscape, the ability to capture stormwater and to clean that before returning it back into the river, and some other pedestrian amenities. In the middle of the summer last year, although we didn't have a lot of people down here to take advantage of it, but we expanded Dora, and we are the largest downtown outdoor refreshment area in the state of Ohio. It now encompasses most of our liquor license holders in downtown. Also runs along Summit Street up to the Toledo Spirits area in the Vistula neighborhood, and also the docks area and Old Bag of Nails on the other side of the river too. Okay, the next few slides, I'm going to take you through all the projects that are currently active in Toledo or have been recently completed. And I think you're going to be surprised at the amount of development that we currently have going on. Just to orient yourself in how we describe downtown, historically, the light blue, or CBD, which represents the Central Business District, was always the definition of the core of downtown. And this is standard for most downtowns across the country. The warehouse district, as you can see there, is to the southwest of the core. Uptown area, which is the one really at the moment receiving a lot of investment, which I'll cover with you. The Vistula neighborhood to the north is our oldest neighborhood in Toledo, and that one has seen some real regeneration along Summit Street. Kind of going clockwise here, the Marina District, which I'll say also includes International Park now, has a lot of shovels happening over there. And then the Middle Grounds neighborhood, which is traditionally defined as that area between Swan Creek and the river, really anchored by Owens Corning, but then it goes south towards the train station and the rail station. So this building on the left, the Hotel Seagate, no longer stands. This photo was taken a week ago, as already dated. It's nothing more than a pile of rubble. If you come down here, be sure to pay attention to all the detour signs because the crane was taken away, but we are still hauling away the rubble. But that is going to turn into, along with the Park Inn redevelopment, which will be a Hilton Garden Inn, 309 rooms in the new Hilton, and about $64 million in investment between the hotel property and then also the Seagate Convention Center, which you see here. They're actually working in the middle of this picture about putting in the new 1,000-seat ballroom. And don't be confused, but if you have to park at the convention center, you're going to be entering now off of Monroe Street in the next couple of months, right at the St. Clair intersection. So no longer off of Summit, but they're shifting that entrance over to Monroe Street for better accessibility. And then the current entrance will remain for drop off for valet and for some of the larger tourist buses that come in. Here's what the Hotel Seagate will look like. So that's going to become a park, pocket park as we would call it. Over the long term though, that property could be resold though and actually built upon again. Continuing down Summit Street, the Plaza, which is the former Toledo Edison building. This building is owned by ProMedica and they are redoing the front of it. So gone is the above ground concourse that was running over East Summit Street. New facade is coming in. The lobby is going to be filled with light, and I think that's going to be exciting to see. Summit Street, some of the workers return this week now that the snow has melted and better weather is here, and you're going to start seeing the progression. If you want to know what Summit Street's going to look like, just look between Monroe and Lafayette, and you can see that finished product. This will be done mid-August, but that doesn't mean that you can't drive on it. Motorist traffic will be reintroduced in phases, and right now you can't head southbound on it. This is looking at the finished perspective of the summit, but in the middle here of the street is what we've now are calling the oval. And so this will allow the pedestrians to traverse back and forth between the 300 Madison building and also the Junction building of the former KeyBank headquarters across the street. Exciting to see, and not many people have seen it, so I'm going to unveil it here for you, is the piece of artwork that's going to be going above the oval. So this is going to be cantilevered over the pedestrians as they go back and forth. This piece of artwork being worked on by ProMedica and the Arts Commission isn't named yet, but we anticipate a lot of people taking some photos and things like that down here, and that's going to be fun. That will be in place by the time Solheim Cup comes. Ed Basinski, who's the owner of Fakash's, is making a major investment in the property in front of his place on Summit Street. Now that we anticipate traffic calming to happen, it's going to be a nicer environment out there. He's calling this the garden. And so you'll be able to dine out there. And he's bringing in a large screen TV so we can watch the Mud Hens or concerts over in Promenade Park. And if you want to reserve the space, get with Ed. That'll be available. And he's also expanding his hours now to have some evening hours on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday once this is ready in early summer. Last summer, 5 different murals, I'm not going to show them all, happened along the riverfront. So this is the one, you see the windows from the Chop House here. And if you take these steps up, you reach Summit Street. Behind me is the river. So come on down, stroll the riverfront, you're going to see them. Here's another one back behind the other side of the Chop House. Those below ground windows are where our YW or YMCA are. So this is another fun splashy one that we see people taking pictures by a lot. And then also our bone-bound concourses, which connect with One Seagate and Imagination Station, have also received some attention. Those concourses are open. You can still go down there, and it's fun to see new life breathed into there. Levis Square Park came online last year for phase 1 and phase 2, and we activated it in October, where we hosted a couple bunch of Levises out there. That summer concert series will be returning in June. Imagination Station was this close to opening up the KeyBank Discovery Theater, and then the pandemic kind of shut them down again. That's a 300-seat theater that can be used for movies. You can also do gaming on there. If you want to host a birthday party, you can do that, or special events, just give them a call. Our organization is actually going to be the first one to use it here in a couple of weeks, but they are available for use now if you'd like to, and they'll open up to the public when I asked soon. Ford Industry Square is receiving just as much attention as the other side of the street with the hotel and the convention center. Here you kind of see a artist rendering of what it's going to look like, and it was just announced last week that Bobcat Bonnie's, which is out of Detroit, is going to be bringing their restaurant concept down here, along with the barcade in the basement, which is a bar and a video arcade combined. And so they're going to be in the corner space. So this is the old Murphy's Club, and this is a picture I just took last week of that space being carved out. Also announced is Northwestern Mutual is going to be moving in here too. So the quiet company is quiet no more. They made a big splash a couple of weeks ago. And then on the upstairs, phase 1 of the 93 units will be available this July. And then phase 2, which is at the southern end of the property, will be available about 6 months after that. They've employed 75 workers on site throughout the pandemic. And if you're going there today, you would hear a lot of pounding. The Jefferson cycle track, called out in the master plan and also addressed in the transportation study, is becoming reality this year. So starting in April, you're going to be seeing that connecting the Riverfront to the Glass Pavilion. It is on the south side of the street. So you see the two bicyclists here. They're standing actually in front of the Pythian Castle. That's the side of the street that the cycle track will run along. It is 2 ways, and it will be protected with a small concrete median for security, and we can also do some fun things over the time with that. Just a couple doors from the Pythian Castle is the former McManus Troop Building, which has been a lot of things over its lifetime. A cigar factory, it was a furniture company, probably about 10 different things, but now its new future is going to be 18 different residential units, and then the first floor is going to be retail space. That will be open here in a couple months, and you can see Perry Polinsky, who is the developer there. He also did the lofts on Adams too, which is now 6 different units over there. Pythian Castle was a project the developer Dave Ball has picked up. He purchased that from the land bank, and literally the floors had fallen through on that building, and there's really nothing much except for the exterior shell. Dave has redone it from top down, restoring the actual castle portion on the rooftop. You can see in the upper right picture, this is what the upper loft looks like. Those are beams that were brought in from pine trees in Oregon. And he's just doing great work. Doesn't have a tenant in there yet. He's willing to, to sell the entire building to someone or to work on it floor by floor, depending on as opportunities approach him. If any of you do want to see the inside of this, Dave and Dean Ball, his brother, are willing to give tours. Just contact me. I can help get you through there. It's fun to see. Library Square is on Madison Avenue, just a block away from that, across from the main branch of the Toledo Library. Developer Matt Rubin, who also owns the property for Fallen Fodder, and he also owns a property back in the uptown area behind the court system. But Matt is putting in here, along with his partner Julia Randalls, they've purchased these 4 properties, and those properties on the upper had residential units. They've kind of turned them now into updated 6 lofts, 2 corporate studios, which are also available. They're going to have some backdoor space off of the back lobby showing here in the bottom right, along with 4 commercial spaces, 2 of which on the ground floor are actually leased already. The federal courthouse annex, so the property on the left, is what's going to be built. It will be completed in 2024. That's nearly $80 million worth of investment going in there. That would also include the Civic Center Mall, which is, I don't want to say neglected, but it's not received an update in decades. And so the Metroparks are actually going to be working with that, with the GSA, on making that a great experience there. As you enter downtown off of Erie Street, coming in off of the Anthony Wayne Trail, one of the first projects you're going to see on the left here is Knight Insurance. So Ken Knight has purchased this property and expanded where his insurance company is, but he's also going to be living on the upper floor there. He's also got some other loft space available if you want to live down there, and some retail space there too. Headed just another 2 blocks in, on the left-hand side is the old Regers building. In fact, the sign is being left up there. That's going to be an owner-occupied building, so the owner is going to be living on the top floor, and then there's going to be several more lofts in there. And then the ground floor is going to be office space, and I believe they're getting close to signing someone and then announcing who that tenant is going to be. Warehouse District, of course, is always the center of activity. On the upper left is Firefly Restaurant. So this is right in the Hensville area across the street from Frickers. They serve high-end cocktails along with international small plates, just opened a couple weeks ago. Moving to the right, opened a little while ago, but a lot of people don't realize this, but this is called the Event Center, owned by Cornerstone Church, but they've put in 3 floors of residential units, and then the ground floor is used in an event space, and then they convert that on the weekends to use as their church location in the downtown area. Bottom left is owned by Pat Gianmarco. Of course, Pat is the owner of Marco's, and he's going to be putting in a smaller Marco's unit there once volume kind of picks back up downtown, and then the other space is available for another tenant. Of course, it was our former hen house down here, and we're appreciative to see some new life come from a former strip club and used in this purpose. And then the bottom right is actually a new restaurant concept. It's called Hanon's Block. So it's actually located in the former Black Cloister Brewery space. So this is at the corner of Erie and Monroe Street. They did their soft opening this past weekend. They actually opened to the public on St. Patrick's Day this Wednesday. If you continue moving about as far south as you can go in the Warehouse District, right up next to 75 is the Venues. Also share space with the Great Lakes Rental, and they have done a great job of converting this into event space. And then he's also taking down some dilapidated buildings in that area, and then also putting in overnight guest rooms. So if you got grandma and grandpa coming in for the window or for the wedding, there's a good place for them to stay, and also some other rooms for the wedding party to get ready in. And we're kind of excited to see this area receive some long needed attention. In fact, that's where Kevin Mullen ran an event this past weekend. I talked about the Jefferson Center earlier, but it's really going to be known as the Jeff. And so you see there, University of Toledo graduate Irma there is bringing her project to downtown Toledo. So she's going to be bringing 400 jobs down here in her company known as Bitwise. So they are going to be teaching coding, and then they hope to also employ those same people in a separate company that they own. This is being done in cooperation with ProMedica. And then they typically see a 4-to-1 return. So another 4 additional jobs created where they pop up. This is their first location outside of California. So we are excited to welcome Irma back to Toledo. This was a huge announcement just a couple of weeks ago, and you're going to see this is what is envisioned on the interior of that building, which was our former main post office here in downtown. Village on the Green is just a couple blocks away. This is 125 different workforce units. And so workforce meaning that these are affordable to people at the entry level of our working population. This is near Market on the Green and Uptown Green park space up there. ProMedica is behind this, working with a developer out of Indianapolis. Project is still active and currently working with the Toledo Plan Commission on just final site plan right now before building starts. Kevin and Ambria Mikulajczak are the owners of Arc Construction. So they're a homegrown young couple, which has really dived into downtown. They purchased last year 2 of our tax credit housing units down here. The upper one being Uptown Arts, the lower one being New Cheney Flats. Those are both 52 units and 65 units respectively, and we're excited about Kevin and Ambria's attention to these units. They're currently assessing what each one of those needs and making the necessary improvements to them. Kevin and Ambria have a huge project going on in the Vistula neighborhood along Summit Street. So it's the old Wonder Bread building, where they'll be converting these into 33 different loft units. Construction is well underway. And they also, one of the questions we receive a lot is, where will people park? They'll actually, each unit will have one reserved parking space on the ground floor. And then they're also putting in retail space available on the ground floor too. Gateway at Lowertown Commons is a project with Blake Underwood and Fred Truhaft. And I've kind of shown a map here where it's located. So the main building is a former brewery distributor. Behind that is the church, and I show that there in the upper right. A lot of you may have played basketball or known someone who played basketball through the CYO organization. Nemesis is going to be moving their headquarters there. They're a downtown technology firm. And then Fred has lined up some retail concepts and some other restaurants and some food vendor and food hall space concepts that will be coming there. And I'll give a plug for the Chamber of Commerce. Their lunch is coming up on Wednesday. You're going to hear more about that then. And then also recently purchased along Summit Street, now you're almost down to the Craig Street Bridge, is a local developer, Will Lucas, and his wife Angela just purchased this. You're going to be calling it Toll House. You can go out there and hit their website, tollhouse.com, and kind of see what he envisions there. But he is picturing a place where Toledo creatives can come together, where they can just discuss, relax, share workspace, and some innovation space there. And then Will also has a technology firm called Credeo, and so he's going to be moving his headquarters into there also. Of course, not to be forgotten is Toledo Spirits, and so they're an active, really one of the most active in our Vistula neighborhood, but they're coming out with a heavy beer company that's going to be opening here in a couple of weeks. The brewery is happening down in the basement of that building. And also on that space is Rialto Jeans project. And so that's via Toledo. When she had her company in New York City, moved that back here to Toledo because they wanted to raise her family here. But she is an international company, and you can see her work throughout the globe. Going to move you now further south in the Middle Grounds neighborhood. So the Park Inn Hotel in the upper left has been purchased by Lucas County Metropolitan Housing, and they intend to use that for transitional housing. So these are for use for transitioning into adult status. Usually they will be in the 18 to 22-year-old range, and they'll be living there. Hotel Royal is owned by another young couple here in town, and they're actively working on that project, taking a little bit of time as they're new to redevelopment, but you're going to be seeing some housing there and then also some retail space on the ground floor. Of course, the Glass City Metropark is what excites us the most. That's a $200 million investment in total, the 6-mile loop running through downtown, extending north of the Craig Street Bridge, the other side of the river, and then going all the way down to the Anthony Wayne Bridge. Phase 1 of the Metropark is done. Phase 2 will be starting work shortly. That'll take about a year and a half to complete. And I appreciate Mike George's introduction about it being a 4-season downtown. This is what's really going to make us a 4-season downtown, especially when you see the ice skating ribbon that's going to be coming there. Of course, the Marina Lofts opened last year, did very well in the middle of the pandemic, 360 units, and they are filling up. Right there, you see that they've got their own private pool connected to the old Bag of Nails restaurant. Over in International Park, right now we're promoting Solheim Cup. You can go and get your picture taken there. Be sure to use the hashtag. But International Cup is working through the due diligence process and will be sold to the Metroparks by the city of Toledo. And a couple other projects on the river. So we do have most of the design work done for the MLK Bridge. The city of Toledo has determined what the physical investment needs to be to make sure that that bridge stays healthy over the course of its life. But then you're also seeing a lighting concept here done by Erwin Ertl. So he's done the other lighting along the riverfront too. That's being, money is being privately raised for that currently. And then also coming this summer, you're going to start to see some work happening out there on the Glass City River Wall. So as you look off of I-75 down in the river, you're going to see a large mural celebrating the indigenous people in this area. Okay, of course, we wouldn't be a downtown without events. So events are returning. Friday night concerts are going to come back on June 25th. Toledo Jeep Fest, which attracts 60,000 people over the course of the weekend, is returning on August 6th through 8th. And then Solheim Cup is starting on August 31st and then wraps up on Labor Day. And unusual for Solheim Cup, most of the ceremonies and celebrations are always held on the golf course. In this case, the Great Golf is going to happen on Inverness, but then the celebration is going to be happening in downtown. And so we look forward to that. And we've been asked, and I don't even know who is the opening ceremonies guest singer. We don't know. It's someone who's internationally known, but we plan on packing downtown for that Friday night with 30,000 different people. So, okay, that was my whirlwind highlight of downtown. If you got any questions, just let me know.
Cindy, that was great. Loved it. It was very exciting to see all of the revitalization of downtown. I'm looking for questions. So far, I don't see any. I have one of my own.
Yeah.
Over the years, a lot of lip service has been given to the Monroe Street corridor when you're staying at a hotel downtown, walking to the art museum. Will it be a safe walk? What will you see on the way?
Well, good question, Judy. So it is a safe walk. Our crime statistics, which we look at, shows that the downtown area is very safe. We know that there are some buildings down there which are struggling with their facade, and so there is work behind the scenes right now going on to make that a better experience. And of course, I mentioned the Jefferson Street cycle track. The Jefferson is also going to be a great experience too. So we do have the bike share program known as Toledo. You can always jump on a bike. There's bikes down at the Glass Pavilion and also all the way along Jefferson Monroe Street. You can always grab a bike and ride back and forth.
The chat's filling up with lots of kudos to you. People are very excited about this presentation. And if we can unmute George Eistetter, he has a question for you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, George.
I don't have a question, but I had intended to leave the program before you were finished because I have something very important to do here today. But at my advanced age, I wish I were about 20 years younger so I could enjoy all this even more. So other than that, I am absolutely amazed at your presentation, and thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you. Greg is saying that he had dinner and drinks at Firefly last Thursday, and he had a great time. And I don't.
Well, everyone can enjoy. Firefly's right across from Fifth Third Field. So on opening day, of course, has been postponed back to May. So come on out for opening day. It's going to be great weather, and then stop by one of the restaurants.
Cindy, how many employees does Connect Toledo have?
Well, Connect Toledo, we just have 5 employees, and then we have an ambassador team of 12. So we are small but mighty. We're part of the greater downtown workforce, which is over 25,000 people.
Cool. I see Keith Burwell has something to share. Can we unmute Keith, please?
Cindy, you do a far better job than Paul Toth, let me tell you.
I think he's listening, so thank you.
Yeah, well, good. I hope he is listening. Several announcements about new restaurants coming downtown and developments making space for future restaurants, but we've lost back 6 of them over this past year. Where are we at? What do you think in that realm of business? Because I keep talking to some folks and they're still suffering. I mean, I'm glad we're making development space for future restaurants, but I'm hoping we don't lose a dozen in the process.
Good question, Keith. So probably half of our spaces that we lost during the pandemic are already been filled or have a future tenant that's already signed and just hasn't publicly announced. The other half of the spaces, which are in the central business district primarily, are waiting. A lot of those tenants are waiting for the workforce to return. But ConnecToledo, along with the city of Toledo, we work closely with Brandon Selhorst, who's the Commissioner of Economic Development, Sandy Spang, who's the Commissioner of Business Services, and then also the Small Business Association, which is an extension of the Chamber. We've spent a lot of time, the three of us institutions together, working with restaurants in all retail spaces in downtown and all businesses, Joe. So it's something that we work with the property owners daily on.
Okay, and next we'd like to hear from Kevin Dalton. Kevin, are you still with us?
Yeah, just
There
took
he
me a
is.
second to get my, good morning. Just took me a second, or good afternoon. Just took me a second to get my mic unmuted. Thanks for the presentation. A lot of great projects. If you could, and if I missed it, I apologize. But with all the projects that you've presented for the downtown and the area around, when do you see a final completion date for all of those? I know it's probably far in the future, but what date would you guys be looking at?
Most of the projects that were covered today would be done by the end of 22. Most of them would be done midway through 2021, but then the convention center and the Hilton Hotel is going to take until 2022. Okay, and you should be able to jump on a cycle track this fall with your bike and go all the way back and forth to the museum and back.
Woohoo! Very exciting. Thank you, Cindy. That was a superb presentation.
Thank you.
Murph. Yes. He's unmuting himself as we speak.
Okay, good. I love everything that's happened. That was a great presentation. I keep thinking with moving all these people downtown, why in the world is somebody not thinking about a grocery store?
We think about it all the time. So there are certain metrics that grocery stores are looking for, and our volume of population is growing. And so we are now entering in those types of conversations with grocers. As you can imagine, the grocery industry has changed. Probably a lot of you today now call ahead and have your groceries either you pick them up curbside or you have them actually delivered to your home. So grocers are having to assess what happened during the pandemic and what's the future of people stopping by a physical store. So it's conversations that we're having.
Great, thank you.
I don't see any more questions. I'm turning the microphone back to Alex.
Wow. Unbelievable. So much activity going on downtown. This is fantastic. Thank you so much, Cindy. Thanks for a very informative presentation. I learned a lot and can't wait to get downtown myself. I think I saw in the chat that that the new grocery store is going to be called Murph's Market. So looking forward to that. Cindy, as our gift to you, we'll be sending you a well-known book in Toledo. Perhaps you've heard of it. Historical Tales of Toledo, authored by Rotary past President Clint Mock. And we will also make a donation to the Polio Plus Fund in your name. Again, thanks for an awesome presentation.
I appreciate that. A fun fact is that Clint Mock brought my father into the road here, into Rotary. So.
Oh, that's great. That is really cool. So I know you've seen this book before, but maybe you haven't really gone through it. So you'll really enjoy it.
Okay.
And so again, this week, here is past President Chuck Mann with the St. Patrick's Day edition of Chuck's Chuckles. Chuck?
O'Toole lived alone in the Irish countryside with only his pet dog for company. One day, the dog died, and O'Toole went to the parish priest and asked, "Father, me dog is dead. Could you be saying a mass for the poor creature?" Father Patrick replied, "I'm afraid not. We cannot have services for an animal in the church. But there are some Baptists down the lane, and there's no telling what they believe. Maybe they'll do something for the poor creature." O'Toole said, "I'll go right away, Father. Do you think $10,000 is enough to donate to them for the service?" Father Patrick exclaimed, "Sweet Mary and Joseph, why didn't you tell me your dog was Catholic?"
Never disappoints. Never disappoints. Oh, thank you, Chuck. Okay, so week's meeting, March 22nd, John Mensner, UT Hall of Fame swimmer. This is going to be a good one, folks. Some of the things he's done is absolutely amazing. At the end of today's meeting, we have two committee meetings, vocational service and foundation governance. So hope everybody has a great St. Patrick's Day week. Stay away from the green beer.
Well,
Have a great week.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm a member of Rotary, and we're here to figure out if people actually know what Rotary is. Tell me, what is Rotary?
A rotary phone?
No.
Chicken.
It's not a rotary phone or a rotisserie chicken.
Tell me, what is Rotary?
Is it when you get a document stamp?
You've been rotarized.
Let me ask you this. What do you think of when you hear Rotary?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. You go and you all over, and then your toilet gets clogged, so then you have to call the rooter guy.
Do you know what Rotary is?
Is it like a club?
Yes, it's like a club. Do you know what kind of club?
I picture a bunch of old stuffy men sitting around smoking cigars, drinking scotch.
They're better for you.
Now let's ask some actual Rotarians what Rotary truly is.
When I first moved to the area,
I didn't know a lot of people, and I didn't have many friends. But then, when I joined Rotary, I gained friends, a community, and even a family.
To me, Rotary is about being part of our community. Rotary has contributed over $500,000 to places like our local zoo.
It's things like this playground. There was nothing here before. And now it's something everyone can enjoy.
My favorite part of Rotary is learning something new every week, straight from the top leaders in our community. I go to Rotary feeling stressed out from work and leave feeling energized and empowered.
Rotary is about impact on a local, national, and global scale. Like this ballpark for children with special needs.
And helping new Americans learn English in this classroom. Oh yeah, and did I mention that Rotary is working around the world on thousands of projects, such as eradicating polio and providing clean drinking water for millions of people. Rotary is where friends, neighbors, and problem solvers share ideas, join leaders, and take action to create lasting change.
Go Rotary!